were at their prime half a century ago. And this is the music that we all listened to when we were growing up. I used to especially enjoy the album covers, and as a young boy, 7, 8 years old, I was always fascinated by the album covers of that group, and wow, Osibisa. And one by one, the members of that group going on into eternity. And just wondering what lessons that we can learn from the life and times of this super group, Osibisa, with origins from right here, the beautiful country of Ghana. Talking of Ghana, I'm not the only Ghanaian here on the set. I have two other proud Ghanaians with me. Sheikh Aremiyao Shaibu is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. And Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete is the president and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. Shalom, salam alaikum to both of you. All right, good to see you.
That's right.
Yes, when you saw that, you heard that video, what was going through your mind?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Sheikh, you're looking at, you have 1 day to go.
Yes.
You've done well.
Thanks so much.
Even before I talk about Osibisa, let me congratulate our Muslim brothers. I don't take prayer for granted at any stage. And for me, once the person is calling on the name of God, I believe blessings come. So this 1 month, you folks have prayed. It's wonderful. There's another prayer program that is going on now. Dr. Kumuyi is in town. I was privileged to be one of the people that were selected to meet him a day before yesterday, and we are believing God for the 3 days program. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I know we'll talk about that before the end of this program.
Sure.
But talking about Osibisa, you rightly said that what lessons we have to learn. I want our Ghanaian musicians and celebrities to take a lesson from the Osibisa group. As big as Osibisa became, most of the Osibisa members died from the circumstances. I mean, we all know how Kiki Jan, apart from being one of the most excellent keyboardists we had in the world, died because he was a drug addict. And this is no secret. I have had the chance to host him in my house, let him stay with me. He was playing the keyboard for me at the Methodist Crusade. The first day, he did so well. We are happy. The evening when you give him money, by the following day when you meet him, he's in a mess. And so now when he comes home, and Atu and I will remember, you can't give him big money, because if you give him big money, it's going to be a mess. But having said that, they became a catalyst to music in even the West. They live in London. Between 1969 and 1971, they composed songs like We Are Going, Heaven Knows Where We Are Going, we will get there, heaven knows how we will get there, we know we will. The second verse touched the heart of the queen then. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Here the story says Queen Elizabeth II got so touched by the song, decided to give them some money. I don't know whether it was 1 million each or 1 million for them to share. That was big money. And that is what destroyed them. When they got the big money, from what I read, they started living lavish life, how many chicks they can get, how many girls they can get, which parties they can go, how many much of weed or drugs they can take before they can take many girls in a day. And by the time some of them realize, their life has been destroyed. Coincidentally, Sheikh and Kafui, that same time, they gave the Beatles same amount. The Beatles come from the Midlands, were led by Paul McCartney and co. And they were ones who composed this song. Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. Desmond said to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says, as he take him by the hand, oh bloody, oh blada, life goes on. Blah, la, 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 life goes on. I know some people be asking, Lawrence Tete, you're a pastor, do you sing? But I'm also a secular person before I became Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. Desmond said to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says, as he take him by the hand, oh bloody, oh blada, life goes on, blah, la, 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 life goes on. Guess what? that money that was given to them, they invested the money, shake and cover, so much that on the whole of the lane of St. John's Wood, behind the residence of the Ghana Commission in London, they bought all the houses there, and the street was named after them. Meanwhile, our fellows, the Osibisa, did it. I felt it during the Queen's 60th anniversary. Barbara and I were privileged to be guests of the anniversary. And as we all got to Buckingham Palace, and everybody came to sing, all the people the Queen Elizabeth liked came to sing. Beatles came to sing this very song. Desmond has a barrel in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. The excitement of knowing that this is an old song. And when it got to the turn of Osibisa, I believe it was a South African black team that sang it. The thing were not available. And I said, this is a lesson, like Riley said, to learn. Those of you in music now, don't be too excited and get into other things and lose that great deal. You might be an instrument to build your community. Let's not take ourselves for granted. But otherwise, having said that, I congratulate Osibisa. They made a name for Africa. There's nowhere you go in the world that you mention you're a Ghanaian, apart from football and boxing, that they will not mention Osibisa. And I want to say, those of them who died, may their soul rest in peace. And those of them who possibly are still alive, please, let's speak to the young ones and let them know that it's not enough to live on other things to fulfill your satisfaction.
I'll make sure I'll find that song for you, Obladi, Oblada.
Yes.
I'll find it for you before we
Desmond has the barrel in the marketplace. Sonny is the singer in the band. Desmond said to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says it's as taken by them. And guess what? Today, Paul McCartney is worth over 800 million. When my wife told me last 2 years or so, I was shocked. From that money he had. Almost 1 billion.
Yeah, the royalties from the music.
Pounds.
This was he and
Not
John Lennon.
so. Yes.
He and John Lennon. All the songs
Yes.
with Lennon McCartney. So that's his share of the royalties.
Yes, and the McCartney brothers are wealthy. In fact, they are billionaires. And so we, as much as we know some pittance of royalties are coming to your children, I think they could have been billionaires too. Lessons to learn.
Lessons to learn right here on GTV Breakfast. We'll give you some news kakra, some chicken wrap kakra, you know, and then some music kakra. That's how we do it right here on GTV Breakfast. We're going to the Western region for a look at the stalled PTC interchange project. I have a soft spot for the Western region because when I started work after national service, that was the first place I went to work in Secondary. I lived in Secondary and I went to work in Takrady. And my father handed me over to the regional administrative officer, Mr. Humia. May he rest in peace. I had this beautiful place. I lived in his boys' quarters, which was overlooking the sea. I woke up in the morning and you see the sun coming out of the sea. Such a wonderful place in Secondary. And so anytime I think of Western region, I think of those times. But something has stalled there, and our man in the Western region, Desmond Kujo, brings to you a report keeping an eye on the stalled PTC interchange project. Check it out. We'll come back. We'll have a conversation on what's in the news with the Reverend, the Sheikh, and the presenter.
This is the site of the PTC interchange. The Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 2020 cast sword for work to begin on this 3-tier interchange. Actually, it is part of the Master Support Project Agreement between the government of Ghana and China, and being undertaken by Power China and Hydro Corporation. The project was supposed to be completed in 30 months' time, but however, actual commencement of the project delayed. It started in earnest along the line, and according to experts during the visit, the work is actually 80% complete. However, in January, we realized that workers, including the Ghanaian and the Chinese counterpart, were asked to go home. The reason being that because of Ghana was seeking support from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF ordered Ghana to hold all bilateral barter agreement. So therefore, the project came actually to a standstill halt in January of this year. We don't know what is happening. I don't know when they are going to resume work. But as you can see, this has brought in each week a lot of challenges for businesses and organizations who operate along where the interchange is. On my left, you can see is a KFC Total filling station, which has been completely cut off because of this project. Other side, we have Shell filling station also cut off, only one side, so it's also difficult for them to operate. On my right side is a Takoradi Air Force Base, where we also have the commercial airport. People travel, so it becomes difficult for people to access the port. They have to go around through Takoradi town, through to the Accra station before they're able to access the Takoradi port. Behind me is also the Goa filling station, which is both a petrol, diesel filling station and a gas filling station. It also suffered from this particular project because people do not have easy access to the place. Behind the Goa filling station is also the Takoradi temporary market at the Jubilee Park. Are also suffering from two conditions. When it rains, it becomes very difficult for them, and if there's no rain and it's dusty too, they also have to battle with the dust all the time as they trade. So this is the situation on the ground. So as I speak this morning, we don't know when work will resume, but what I can say is that work has stalled. There's nobody on site. I've not seen any security person around to check the place, even though the place has been cordoned off. Part has been broken. As we come, we have thorough access. Nobody stopped us, nobody access where we're going because there was nobody on site. Also, the drains being constructed have been abandoned. As you could see, stagnant water, which is also a breeding ground for mosquitoes, and therefore people who stays around will suffer from the branch of the mosquitoes. So this is the situation that we have as of now at the PTC interchange. But media interviews granted by the Western Regional Minister Kobina Okyere indicated that the work has not been abandoned and that the work will resume in the next. But I don't know when work will resume. But as of now, all I can say is that work has stalled. There's nobody on site, no machinery. People have easy access to the site. We don't know the danger it poses to around other teams. People come to break other materials. We don't know. But all I can say is that nothing is happening at the PTC interchange as of this morning.
Yeah. You can see it yourself. You can see it yourself that the impact is great compared to previously and now. Because you've been here for about 1 hour now. You don't see any vehicle here. So when there is no vehicle here, it means I'm almost out of business. Health issues, you can see it yourself. The dust, because now once they are not on site, so nobody come here to water. You see, but when on site construction, you see their water tanker come round to water. But now that they are not on site, the tanker don't come again. So in health issue too. But I've done my best. I provide my staff with nose masks so that at least it will also protect them as well. Yes, as for the appeal there, I know this project, if it completes, I mean, it will beautify the whole Takoradi. So when it's coming, we all embrace it. So now that it has been hot, we pray to the government that at least the contractor should come to site so that they will finish on time so that we also continue our business.
Since I saw a bayan say, Quanimum assay, if you are a kind of a portrait in high. The chopper at the mom say, or Momo de machine. Yes, I so busy in the Untumum Cocra. Then I say, if you crazy for me, say, being Cocra, if I in the and send it to me a cocaine from Modiana. The form which I was a motion may my answer and soon to this. What's your brother? You man, I Janet, the Wagon and Papa, but say, Huntuma, Titsi. So what you mean put time while you're on what you saw what a car can either, and what a number can you had no. The what jay quack and won't too many in our bar. So on the other back then you for a bubble, Malana say my bet you is my bad, and Dana maybe. Moquimpo was generous about and that's Muntumin J. Woman, my social bets and game. You say why a Kakala Kamasha nose mask. I had a more son of an amquadam already match. It's a had on one way. Oh, yeah, what an I didn't want to man in see. Obi be jongo ya shana bola na ya ma
So what about no what the woman? Eh, one of what's our way out, papa. If you go in a good day, you want to hire Sala.
I'm sister, your brother, your mamma, papa. Sister, baby, a first nine can be for here. To be the Abba. Now I am for your paid nay, be out on by none the way Jane. Just for dropping. I'll come inside, make a bushing for one quarter, and I'm about to make share upon shabby or bushing. And say, I'm a young and noodles from Baby. Oh, I did. The upon one shoulder, so by Sunday, Abba. One more pound on one son from Bra.
Yeah, so that's a sad one there. PTC exchange stalled for the reasons you saw in that report, and life goes on as we heard in that song, Obladi, Oblada. I don't know if you have any comments. You used to live in the Western region, right?
Oh, right. I was going to comment that I'm a true Western
boy.
Yeah. I mean, my schooling there. It was only in the 1969. That I joined my dad at Takwa to continue my schooling there from P6 then to Form 4. Yeah, so it's Kado, Jendu Park,
those are your places.
Yeah, my house where I was born and just close to the Jendu Park. Yeah, just at the heart of the Zongo. Yeah, so that's where my Islamic education began from there. I mean, before we were then finally taken to school. At the time, we were going to only the Makaranta.
Yes.
Yeah, and then from there they do just this thing, and then we were now pushed to school, and we began with the English and Arabic school over there in the 60s. Then finally I got transferred to Takwa to join my dad. So the best comes from the West. Actually.
One time.
Yeah, that one. After the pride of the West, we didn't joke with it. So. So all the Skendi guys in the Zongo just watch me.
So you also used to say Aze?
My parents, Aze, not so. My aunties and all the, my uncles are at second year.
Oh, one time.
So I'm sure they are watching me.
Yes.
Watching me now. Yes, Papa.
Thank you. These are the headlines for today. Daily Graphic. Political capture of media is risky. That's a report warning us. President inaugurates police barracks at Kwabenya. And GRA, SML, Ghana expand revenue audit. I'm seriously allergic to acronyms because I like to make things very simple. So SML, for your information, is Strategic Mobilization Limited. Okay. Party, National Democratic Congress urged to allow police to carry out their duties. That's Ghanaian Times. Court directs minority leader to file witness statements. That's on the ambulance issues, page 3, to Forson, in the matter there. Economy expands by 3.1%. That's how much it expanded by in 2022, says the Ghana Statistical Service. And the producer price inflation falls to 43.7%. Same paper, I'm sure Reverend putting on his economics hat will give us some explanations on those. Business find a payroll cleanup can save Ghana 10 billion annually, says Fair Wages, Salaries and Commission. Salaries Commission. The anchor says more Ghanaians suing government for medical negligence. Health Minister laments. And ECG staff reject MD's one-man proposal to outsource debt collection to private companies. So these are the headlines. Doc, I'll put the Reverend aside right now. We're talking Doc. Economy issues. Ghanaian Times. Economy expands by 3.1%. Producer price inflation falls to 43.7%. What does it mean for the man who wants to buy Yokagari this morning?
I think we are beginning to wake up from a lot of the waste. In the past few months, a lot of things that we took for granted, a lot of people are beginning to put it together now. We all know that we needed to stabilize the dollar. And how do we stabilize the dollar? To make sure that the things that we bring outside that make us send our hard currency, our durable dollar out.
With durable dollars.
We have to curb it a little. And that is what helps to build. Remember, there's something in economic called indicators. Indicators is what builds our economy. It's what we use for the GDP rating and things. And what are the indicators? The things that we export, the things that we import, things that we have, what we commercialize. And that is what brings it. So I think we can do better. Ghana government can do better. The economy of Ghana can do better. The thing is that I keep saying this, all the monies we are looking for from IMF, we have it in this country. All the things that are killing our economy is not outside it is we ourselves. Our concentration is that we are concentrating on a lot of things that has no future for us, and we've left the very thing that can build our future. And by breaking it down simply, if Ghanaians will go into Agric with all the vast lands we have, if Ghanaians will encourage themselves to buy made in Ghana goods like we are wearing now, everything we are wearing now is made in Ghana. If Ghanaians can concentrate to also promote the things that are done in Ghana, we'll preserve our currency and that will put value on us. I believe, though, in the wake of all that now, certain things are going to shaking up. I believe in the next few months or years, things will work out because everybody is waking up now. And trust me, the embarrassment of government or people in the helm of affairs is not for them alone, it's for the whole Ghanaian. There's nothing like a sales place for NDC or NPP or CPP. We all go to the same market. We all sit in the same trotro. We all buy the same fuel. So at the end of the day, I think sometimes the only problem we have is that when people talk, and like sometimes you want me to talk as an economist, but by the time you end up saying it as it is, if you don't take care, you make an enemy where there's no need for an enemy. And the problem we have in Ghana is that we are so little-minded sometimes on our political beliefs that when somebody doesn't speak the language you want, you assume that he's supporting another side. But I think all Ghanaians must wake up and concentrate and build enlargeness. And I'm believing in God by now that you have a backyard garden, Sheikh will have a backyard garden, and then we'll go to some of our villages. We all have a village. Look at how Sheikh spoke Fanti beautifully well today. I think the Fanti he spoke even sweeter for me than the way he speaks the outer language. So let us go back and build Ghana. And when we build Ghana and we concentrate on building the Ghana, inflation rate and certain things can be curtailed. And that is what will give us a better Ghana. But I have hope that things will work out.
Okay.
You know, hopelessness can be very deadly. Yeah, if you fall into the state of despair, I mean, it can be very deadly. That's why people commit suicide, because they cannot see any hope, any light at the end of the tunnel. But meanwhile, the future holds a lot of good things if things are put right. I think this thing, probably the story should be able to tell us what factors actually account for the expansion of the economy. Low productivity weakens economy. High productivity strengthens the economy. Revenue mobilization is one that is very, very, very key and important also for. So once you have a very weak mechanism for mobilizing revenue and all your revenue base is so narrow, people, so much loophole for people to escape taxes, taxation, and so on. I mean, the countries like Britain, they are not that so big, and yet these are the countries from where we receive a lot of revenues. England
is about the same size as Ghana.
I mean, Japan. How large is Japan? How large is Japan? So these countries that we now rely on, what is it that counts for the strength of their economy? Productivity is now the agri sector. For example, how far have we been able to enhance it, to produce what we eat and eat what we produce, and also get some for export. So that's why I was keen to really know exactly if there is a certain expansion of the economy. It's giving us the latitude, all right. I mean, is it 3.1% or something?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are the factors that has accounted for this? But I think, in my view, we need to be more serious about how we are managing because it has to do with the well-being and happiness. And the chapter 6 of the Constitution, I mean, how do they call it? Directive principles of state policy. Mm-hmm. I mean, tells that the state will work to promote the prosperity and the well-being of the citizens. And it's all these things. If you make them as the bare, I mean, the core,
the basis,
the core of what drives our policy. So what are policies for? The policies are not intended to affect my life and make me happy. So what are they for? If laws are made and they're intended to ensure my human rights are protected and there's order in society, there's discipline, what are they for? So the context of why we make policies, sit at the very heart of this part of the Constitution that we're making a reference to. So we still want to call on government to do the needful. We are happy if there's any expansion, it's positive. We are happy, but maybe the extent is not as sufficient as. But like Reverend said, we must remain hopeful that things will improve for the better. Pessimistic, not to be optimistic, but rather pessimistic, that things will continue to get destroyed, deteriorated until I think that is not a good spirit.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So issues of economy so on the table this morning because money matters are really important.
And before you even continue, just a second. Picking up from where Sheikh finished, speculations are very dangerous. The reason why sometimes the currency even loses its potency and strength most time has to do with speculations. And so let's see how we curb it.
Okay.
And if we don't take time, we'll politicize the situation and it will not be in our interest. And let me say again, if Ghana dooms today, it dooms on the head of all of us, whether you're an NDC, MPP, CPP, politician, or whatever it is. So let us make sure that we have a collective mindset when it comes to our economy and be Ghanaian-minded more than being political-minded.
Awesome. Great stuff. WhatsApp number is 055-556-1034. Today, this week I've been saying the numbers in the different languages. So I said it in Tabani, said it in Twi, I said it in Ghana. I think I'll say it in Ever today. So 055-556-1034. Nanaka aton ade deka nanaka aton ene.
Oh.
Yeah, that one I said it with confidence. Yeah, so those are the numbers 055-556-1034. This is a story that is not in the headlines today, but it's been trending. It had to do with water and sanitation issues in our schools. And the spotlight was thrown on Ghana Senior High School because there was a documentary that was produced by Prince Kwame Tamaklo of Rainbow Radio, which brought out a finding that the students in the school were sleeping in converted bathrooms and toilets. And it turns out that they don't even have enough toilet facilities in that particular school in the northern region. 1,500 students are sharing toilet facilities with a neighboring community, and there are even issues of conflict over access to the toilets, use of toilets. It was just depressing, and we had people denying that it wasn't, but that's the story that the journalist stands by his story and has footage to show about it. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, as in first, I'll start with you as an educationist. I mean, why are we sending children to schools that don't have enough toilet facilities, enough accommodation facilities?
I think the point of address to talk about this is the policy itself, which I say without the politics of it, that I am a fan of free SHS because of where I come from. But it has to do with the management of it, because once you say free SHS, the figures quadruple. There are many of the Ghanaian children who normally would not have had the opportunity to go to school. Now they have to go. From very, very poor homes that normally they would drop out. But now all of them have been captured for very good reason. For a very, very good reason. They have been captured into the school network. But put that one against the resources that we have. One, you need to expand the facilities. You need to employ more of the teaching staff, ensure that the comfort and their security and all that are important. Because when you put a child in a school, his comfort, that which gives him the stability of his mind to be able to learn, is very, very important. Where he sleeps, to get adequate sleep. But if this story is true, it can just be described as very degrading to the human person. Yeah, yeah. But once we do not have the basis ourselves, because I hear there has been so much denial. The headmaster has been asked to step aside for investigation. Yeah, so I will not confirm what is being said until they come out with the result of their investigation. If it is true, what is it that makes the headmaster to really go and say, those toilets, were they abandoned toilets? Were they abandoned toilets that nobody was using it? You know, so you need to put the cross the T's and the I's. Is it that these even the school didn't have? Now we are saying they don't have enough. Have the facility. Is it that they now cleaned it? They cleaned those toilets of the filth, and then put those students there. We need to investigate and be so that we don't also, discourage, the good things, the good thing that the government is also doing. Sometimes I have a suspicion that there is some certain politicization of the matter. Do something to discredit government A so that you can do so. So in my view, let's get to the facts and the truth of the matter. If it is the case, is it the policy of the Ministry of Education? Is it the policy of the GES? Is it the headmaster's decision? What was the headmaster attempting to solve that he went to that extent? Was it well intended?
But questions.
A lot of questions. But if it is true, I'm using if conditional. If it is true, then that can be very degrading to the students.
Very much so.
Yeah, if it is true.
If it is true. Doctor, quick comments before I get on the line.
Okay.
I think that school is such an important school that we should take this seriously. I know that is where President Mahama went to. I know that's where President Mahama's wife, Lodina, went to. I know that is where Abedi went to. And I suspect that your Director General, Professor Amin, also might have gone to that place. I stand to be corrected. So prominent people have come from that school. At least there's one thing I thank God for. The way old Achimotans handled Achimotan school, and the way old Infanspem handled Infanspem school, and the way old Wesley girls handle their schools. There are prominent people that have been to that school. I think we should not just politicize it. And like Sheikh said, go and find the truth. Because I've also heard one side, I've heard the other side, and I think that it's everything is. We shouldn't politicize it. Let's look for the root and solve the children problem more than for politicizing
Exactly.
it. Because most time we end up, when the elephant fight,
It's the grass.
it's the grass that suffers. And so we need to solve the problem. And I'm saying some of these big names I've called are people that I've known personally anyway. Abedi Pele made a name. First Lady Lodina made a name. President Jomama made a name. And certainly, if the Director General of GBC, people should interview him. I suspected maybe he also might have gone there.
So
So even
those
if he didn't go there, he come from that
Those
background.
students must know. Okay.
But Sheikh was not privileged to go there. So.
Oh, I mean, I'm from, Takwa English and Arabic School. Look, we had to go to the bush and cut our bamboos. I sat in a classroom where there was no cement. My legs were dirty. My feet every day was dirty from the school. But we were able to
rise
go
up.
to. I didn't get the chance to go to senior high school, like I said the last time.
Yeah.
So, having stayed 6 years behind, I had to go to training college because it was the easiest.
Which is where. All right. Okay, cool. So, in the end, we must look at the welfare of the children. Remember when
very, very important.
When we were looking for a kindergarten for our children in Dansuman, we went to one school and we asked to see, can we look at the toilets? We went to the toilets and we were presented with 3 holes. And we said, excuse me, what is this? They said, this is the toilet. And I'm thinking, my child uses the WC at home, comes to a kindergarten, and he has to squat over a hole. I said, thank you, but no thanks. And I left that school. Yeah, so yeah, in the end, it's the welfare of the children we must be concerned about. This is GTV Breakfast. I want to jump onto the phone lines right now and speak with the Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria, because the ambulance service has introduced a new emergency service for children. It's on the back page of today's Daily Graphic. Professor Zakaria, Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Kareem. How are you?
Thank you very much, Kafi. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. What is this news we are hearing about the service introducing an emergency service for children? Give us the background to this particular service.
Okay, Kafi, this is the collaboration between the University of Florida and the National Ambulance Service, and supported by USAID. Now, MotoMed is an innovative telemedicine and medication delivery service program designed to overcome barriers to seeking care in hard-to-reach areas, especially for children. And what it comprises of normally is that when a child gets sick at night, their parents will normally call the dedicated MotoMed hotline. Then we have National Ambulance Service Advanced Emergency Medical Technicians who will be called to attend to them. And they conduct a telemedicine assessment over the phone to develop an initial patient assessment. Then we send the EMT to the child on motorcycle along with the driver. So when they get to the household, the Advanced Emergency Medical Technician will examine the child, measure his vital signs or her vital signs, perform a rapid diagnostic test for malaria if needed, then develop a care plan. Then after, the EMT will provide the family with a treatment plan and any necessary medications based on standard protocols, which normally will be developed by the physicians from the US and for the pediatricians based on WHO care guidelines. Now, in addition to that, they will normally make recommendations for daytime follow-up care. Then after the nighttime visit, they will call the family within 10 days to see how the child is doing and what other care or follow-up will take place. The reason they are doing this is to prevent progression of illnesses at night. So normally you realize that many of these patients whose parents are poor are not able to seek health care. And so that's what we are doing now. It's still a pilot project in Jamestown and Ushertown.
Okay, so you're piloting it in Jamestown and Ushertown in the Greater Accra region.
Yes, please.
And how many families are you expecting to cover with this pilot project?
So far, they've attended to over 300 children.
If you look at the conditions that the ones.
So mostly we have respiratory infections, diarrheal diseases, and malaria. They will be the leading ones. So sometimes they also have skin infections.
Okay, so when the parents find that their child is ill and then they call a particular number and then everything kicks into progress, is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm curious, why not extend this service for adults who are sick at night?
It's still a pilot. So eventually, based on the success stories, we'll be able to know how to scale up to include adults as well. But the reason it's in children is that, an adult is conscious enough to know when to seek care. But many of these children, just let me mention, we started with under 10 here, because if you look at the adult, if he's sick or she's sick, she knows that she has to go to the hospital. But the child normally will not until the condition gets worse.
Okay. How much is this service costing the parents of these children?
For now, it's free because it's sponsored by USAID.
But at some point in time, there will be some cost element, I presume?
Definitely, at some point, based on the challenges, we'll be able to know where there will be the need for support.
So, which hospitals are connected to this particular service?
Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Pediatric Emergency Department, and then the Princess Louise Marie Hospital.
How long will this pilot project
It's a
run for?
9-month project.
Okay, and we are now in which month? Month 1, month 2?
We are now in the 3rd month.
Oh, we are now in month 3.
Yes, please.
Okay, so towards the end of this year or early next year, then everything will be done.
Yes, please.
And then when we start scaling up, where do you want us to go next?
So we are going to look at some deprived regions as well.
Say that again?
We are going to look at some deprived regions and later in the future scale it up to cover the whole country.
Okay, when you say deprived regions, give us the idea of which regions are likely to be in that list.
We are yet to meet to decide on the next regions that we are supposed to bring on board.
And so, with this process, at some point, will the ambulances come to the houses of the children?
So, for example, if they go, they have an inclusion criteria. If the patient is seriously sick that needs to go to the hospital, then they will call the emergency number of the ambulance service.
Mm-hmm. And this service is supposed to be entirely free, no cost?
Yes, but for now, there's no cost to it.
We've had reports that ambulance people get over to administer help and then they are charging. How do you make sure that this does not happen in this particular project?
That's why it's still a project well controlled.
What's the feedback you're getting from the community so far?
Excellent feedback.
And what do you seem to be the biggest challenges for you right now in making sure this thing works well?
The biggest challenge is that some areas that are not part of the pilot are beginning to send their children to the pilot area. So we are trying to manage it for now.
They are transporting their sick children to Jamestown and Asha Town?
Yes.
Really? How are you getting this information? How are you able to verify this?
You know, we recruited the assemblymen and some of the local communities. So they are able to provide us with the households.
Awesome.
And so sometimes you get the number of children are more than you will have expected.
I see. They've come to gather at Jamestown and Asha Town waiting for the service.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much, the Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria, talking to us about an ambulance service that has introduced an emergency aspect of their care for children.
Salam to him also. He's a very good friend.
He's a very good friend of yours. Yes. Salam alaikum, Prof. Thank you so much.
He's taking care of that unit very well.
Very well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, gentlemen. Any comments on that?
I think Professor Nuhu is a very excellent medical practitioner. But having said that, I think that area is a very chocker block area. That's where I was born.
Oh, you were
born at Jamestown. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
You could have been a boxer.
Very proud. I could have. I still have some.
You could have been a boxer.
I was born at Jamestown. How I was born at Jamestown is very interesting. I was told my father was working at the James Ford. That time the court was there. Mm-hmm. And so my mother goes in the afternoon to meet her young husband, and then they'll go for lunch together. And while she was in the courtroom, the water broke.
Ooh.
So that's why, as I was growing up, people thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, because you nearly got born in court.
Yes, it was after O-level when the results came and they realized that I did well in maths and everything, and they said, okay, let me go and do economics. Let me change it. So those are my people. So even though originally that is not where I'm supposed to be, that is where I come from. That's where I was born. So I do a lot of crusade for them there. And I want to say, Prof, there are people there. In one house, you'll be surprised how many people live there.
Yeah.
And certainly, if it is going to be for free, a lot of people want to come for it. But we should work it out well, because it's very easy for this thing to lift up the spirit of the people, and then when they generally need the need, they say you don't come from the community. Akotolante, Jamestown, Manchagbona, Koloko, those people, they are the same people. So it's just next door neighbors.
Yes.
So when they come, please, Prof, they are the same people. And sometimes, let me be quick to say this, assemblies are very quick in politicizing everything. Once you don't belong to their party, whoever is there want to make sure it favors exactly people. And let's make sure health should override political colors.
You cannot be tagging children, MPP and NDC.
At all.
They're not there for that. This nonsense must stop. Sheikh, any experiences with Jamestown?
Oh no, except that
probably occasional visit to go and engage in some programs. So I do not know much, about that. I remember long ago there was a mosque in the community.
Okay.
And so I had to visit them to go and engage with them on some educational program.
Okay.
Yeah, and but if you take Kolegono area and the rest, because my work actually took me there because we had schools also in those areas. Yeah. So in my supervision and inspection, I to those areas, and that's what put me.
All right. Nice. You're watching GTV Breakfast. We'll be looking at our comments pretty soon. But since we are doing this in the media, let me bring a media story here. So, political capture of the media landscape has been identified as a major threat to media freedom and the country's democracy. So there was a research conducted by the Department of Communication of the University of Ghana. And according to this research, there's an increasing concentration of the media in the hands of partisan people who are controlling the public space through their media empires. So the State of the Ghanaian Media Report was launched yesterday. Our Director General was a keynote speaker there. And I'll just give you a quote attributed to Professor Audrey Gadzekpo. It's not Gadzekpo, Gadzekpo. Okay. We find the political capture of the broadcast media space in particular and the increasing concentration of the media in a few hands as worrying for the country's democracy, and there's a need to address it of the Department of Communication Studies. So this research was conducted in collaboration with the Media Foundation for West Africa with funding support from the U.S. Embassy and the College of Education of the University of Ghana. So they looked at opaque ownership. So the media house is there, but we don't really know who owns it. Then they looked also at financial viability, that a lot of these media houses are just hanging by a bare thread. Working conditions, journalists are not being paid. If you're very observant, you go to certain events and you realize that the same people keep coming there all the time. And they're not affiliated to any house, or they're just waiting for the refreshments and for the soli, and these are serious issues because of the way the media is constructed right now. Some salaries are as low as 500 Ghana cedis, sometimes no pay at all. And so they have to rely on solidarity, where they take money in the name of transport fare to go back and write the stories. Safety of journalists, online abuse was found, and then there are so many findings that were made from this particular report. But the key one we're talking about now is the political capture of media, which is risky.
Kafui, any nation that does not have an independent media space is doomed. Democracy cannot really be enhanced without proper journalism. And that is why I think as a people in Ghana, we should be very careful. Not long ago, we dropped a little. And we must watch all these spaces, because if we allow politicians to capture our media houses, we lose the flair of the democracy we are practicing. The fourth realm of the estate must be a check on all the arms of government. And that is where everybody sits on it. So that is why, and this is a very sensitive, I get very worried about everybody becoming an investigative journalist now. They are solid, they know what to do. But today, anybody from any radio station can say, I'm a journalist, and then when they stand, you get a language are not languages that are meant for the media. The culture of insult and everything, because somebody is paying some journalists to come and insult somebody. And we all know that apart from a few of stations like GTV and others that are trying its best to curtail that, some of the media houses, you can just tell these belong to NDC, these belong to MPP, these belong to CPP, and I think that is wrong. We must have journalists that believe in ethics, and I think it is the ethics of the journalism space that will give us a better nation. That will also enhance our democracy.
Sheikh.
Yeah, I mean, the media, influences so much the trend of our thoughts and affect the way people are thinking about. So if they fill the media space with false information, to maybe move the state, in a certain direction, the gullibility of the majority of the people will give them success. In the same way, if they decide to also give the genuine and true information, it also helps. But our worry now is that the negative is now taking the center stage. That's why we are worried, and I think it is true. I mean, if you are somebody who listens to the airwaves, if you are in the house, you are watching the television. If you are in your car, you will listen. Especially around the political campaign times. Sometimes the tone of even the debate, you find that almost every, like some of the breakfast shows, almost every station, the other even less influential political parties, are not even considered, but it's the duo, the NDC communicators. And you see, you need to be called a communicator. You see, and I don't know what is it called, that the definition of a communicator. You did communication. I mean studies. When somebody is a communicator, is it somebody who insults, somebody who talks at the top, on top of his voice, somebody who comes to sit down and his whole body language is exhibiting, pugilism. I mean almost like a boxer. I mean his whole body language.
He's come to fight.
He's come to fight. Come to fight, and then
they're called serial callers also.
Serial callers, and there's
foot soldiers.
And then the symbolism of what they do, and how the message is sent around, and truly it's a worrying. And some of the media houses and the television stations that are owned by politicians, known, and because it is for them, the owner can come and sit and spew whatever he wants, because nobody can challenge him. I mean, we've seen some of those things, and given where we are getting to, especially in the political space. I mean, just last week we were all worried about a comment that was made by one politician, and it became the trending thing. And the politicians usually, I say, they do something that can influence the emotions and prepare the mindset of the young people for action. And so, if it's your television station, it means you allow it for that thing to happen. If you are an influential, you are a minister, or you are somebody who controls, and you think nobody can challenge you for what you say, you come, and as they do so, they continue to tear the nation apart. So when I get this opportunity, I speak, to the minds of our politicians, for us to do a politics of conscience and politics of ethics. Yeah, we may not be as perfect as we want to be, but you see the tone of your political discourse. Let's also avoid this warrior symbolisms.
What does that mean?
Like when you come,
we are going to war.
Exactly.
Battle lines have been drawn.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you come and then it's a battle ready.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything that communication you mix so that we are battle ready, and in that, whether figurative or real, and it's preparing somebody for a certain kind of action. I think we need to now. So I'm happy this is, but an NMC is there. I don't know how attempts have been made to check these things, and the independent media houses will challenge it. They say we are shrinking the scope of media freedom, and so on and so forth. But to what extent can we allow? Where do we draw the red line? Where do we draw the red line that when you cross, then we are slipping into the space of creating hatred, hate speech that seeks to tear the country apart? So there must be a way. And I was talking to someone, I said there must be a certain code of political behavior that is enforceable. Because if you make it a code and it's not enforceable, nobody is there to make sure that it's enforced. Then though these reports can come out all right, So at least for our knowledge, we know that there's a certain political capture of a media space.
Yeah.
But what are we doing about it? Where does the law come in
Indeed.
To restrain people from doing the wrong thing? So I think because I'm very particular about what happens to our country, especially during political, dispensations. We need to take control of the media and guide them.
Right.
Journalists must do the right thing. Politicians must do the right thing.
Journalists do the right thing, politicians do the right thing.
Yes. Don't create a space and give politicians the wide opportunity to come spew. Sometimes the altercations, you see them, on television, they are at each other. And the language is not good.
Not good at all.
Yeah, but why can't you go decorous, explain the issue technically, very practical, and then listen to the other side, let him also explain, and let the host, and sometimes the hosts will sit back
and watch, and goad them.
In fact, and goad them.
Yeah.
Adding some little bits of the fire, into it.
Fan the fire.
Exactly. To manage the whole discussion, so that, like a chairman, you'll be able to really, sift out, the substance from the chaff, and direct discussion, make it more fruitful, more constructive.
Okay.
A word of caution to all our political and media practitioners. In the world we live in today, anything we see, anything we say, anything we do, we'll have to answer for it. And people don't realize how they destroy their career ahead of themselves. People should even take lessons from when the vettings take place in Parliament. There are certain statements certain people have made in the past haunts them when they are being vetted. The future is not as long as historians measure time. So we must be very careful. And I think being decorum and mindful of our language is a key. We must be Ghanaian minded before we take up. In Europe, we have lived for a very long time. The Ofcom controls the media space. If you go and you spew certain words and languages that are not temperate languages meant for media, you are taken off. And so people are mindful. I think the regulatory aspect of it should also not be politicized. And then we can have a better nation that is controlled properly. Otherwise, there are some of the young so-called journalists and writers who take the law in their hands. In fact, this time they become the jury, the judge, and the prosecutor. They speak to you, and it's like, if you don't speak to them, they are coming to your doorsteps. And sometimes I think that one too must be kept. The ethics. The last time I saw a little book that is the codes of ethics of journalism, and I think it was very impressive. It must be available for all.
All right. And those of you who are wondering what Ofcom is, Ofcom is Office of Communications. It's an official UK organization that checks telephone and broadcasting companies and making sure that they obey government rules. So they look at what kind of content comes on television, whether people are advertising before the watershed periods, alcohol and other things. That in the UK at certain times you cannot have bitters and drugs and alcohol being advertised before a particular time. So they check all those things, and they really come down hard on broadcasters. Our Ofcom should be the National Media Commission, and probably to have a chat with them.
In a way, in chief, say kasaye. How do you say?
Speak well.
And so it's ingrained in the mindset of our people.
Talk with wisdom.
Talk to wisdom. Kasaye. If somebody talks with kasaye dodo. Onim kasa.
Knows how to speak.
And in democracy, you say kabi mamin kabi abai. So somebody said chirawadjuni, mamin chiramadjuni. This does not bring fight.
Right.
Yeah. So I think our people must allow this wisdom to guide
them. Before I jump over to Thelma for the messages, I just saw a piece here by Felix Dodu. He's the coordinator of the Ekrasi Mpuntu Foundation. Quote, in 2022, a teacher was caught trying to defile a 13-year-old class 6 pupil in Akim Boso Villa in the eastern region of Ghana. Interestingly, the parents did nothing, despite knowing the teacher's heinous actions. Instead of seeking justice for the young rural girl, they seized the opportunity to demand money from the teacher. So you have people who are actually condoning this kind of behavior, and the whole piece is about rural teacher-pupil relationships. And it appears that in the rural areas, teachers are taking advantage very seriously of pupils, young people below the age of consent. I mean, did you ever handle any cases like that where you had teachers misbehaving with pupils?
Yes, I think I sat on a panel, disciplinary committee. I mean, in one of these districts, about a teacher who was, I think, having amorous relationship with yes, and we had to recommend strongly for his removal from the place. So those are tendencies. Those are tendencies you can find occasionally happening, especially, teachers who are unable to, maintain their morality. The closer they come to the children, whatever is going on about them, they can just go. But I think that it must be a punishable offense.
What was the punishment for that teacher who was misbehaving?
Yeah, I think for in his case, it was a certain suspicion that. So finally, when we established that there was something going on, his was for him to be transferred from the school. I hope that I can remember.
Did he still stay in the system to start transferring his activities to other girls?
in our circumstance, sometimes even the staff strength itself is very, very weak. So sometimes you just have to. But the challenge that we have also that if the person is not good, if you transfer him to another place,
then he transfer him. The nonsense there.
Yeah, but that you take him to a place where, because of the change of environment, he might now want to, behave well.
But I don't think that is likely to change.
Yes.
Because in this piece, it says the harassments often start with teaching their or students to cook for them,
take their books to the house,
clean for them, to wash their things, or perform other household chores. It is surprising to know that parents of such victims are either happy that their wards are dating teachers who are deemed as very respected persons in the rural communities, or demand money from the teachers instead of reporting them.
Some of them will end up marrying the students.
Man.
Yeah, after this, before I realized, he has married. I mean, so
like the French president.
So I think the code of ethics,
like the French president.
Yes.
The French president.
He married his teacher.
He married the teacher.
Yes. So this is not just in Ghana. No, the thing is, as a human culture, so it needs to be kept. I mean, I'm here and Sheikh and I will agree that even clerics, there's some you cannot even trust children with them.
I mean, yes.
It's a mindset, people's moral mindset. People don't even know where to draw the line. The red line, people don't know what the red. Some people, anything skirt and blouse, they just like. And so we have to be very careful the people we entrust our children into. And the painful thing is that girls that are abused at a very early age, they end up becoming very, 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 very problematic. Very problematic. I have had a chance to speak to a few prostitutes and a few street girls, and when they tell you how it happened, how some uncle abused her when she was little, how some teachers abused her, how some people abused her, and then by the time we realize, but this thing is happening a lot in this part of the world. In Europe, the ladies that we befriend, they have to like you to have an affair with them. In this part of the world, but even how people attach in things. Sometimes you realize that we demean people.
And some of these things, my husband, my wife, the child is 6 years old. Get out of here. Whose wife? No,
a useless man. And it's the reason why a lot of ladies, and this one permits me to get into the spiritual world. The reason why a lot of young ladies today, the people they relate to are married men and old people, was that when they were little, words were spoken on them, and words are spirit. The girl is just 6 months. Some useless man comes, and my good for nothing has not achieved anything. Say, begin to call my wife, and then you agree. By the time they grow spiritually, you've married them to an old man.
Not
then the sugar mama thing, sugar father thing.
It's all happening there. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. I think we'll have a big conversation on this.
I would love to be part of that conversation.
And I interviewed a prostitute in 2015. It was there's an International Day of the Sex Worker. 2nd June. And the revelations were just. I think I'll do that interview.
I would love to be part of that.
Thank you so much. We have messages now. I'm going to dash over to the otherwise I don't know what Thelma is, but if she's not around, I'll just go.
She's around. We'd love to see her.
Yes.
Nice
women don't run; they walk.
She's in the black trousers.
Yes.
She's looking very good.
Athletics.
And she's strolling.
I saw her
athletics.
No. Ladies don't run; they walk.
With some high heels. Looking very gorgeous.
Yes, Thomas here to come and read the messages. And after that, we'll have a conversation on property rate, which will be quite exciting. There's also African Goju. It's a martial art developed by our own Ghanaian Professor.
But Talma is around. I hope I will not sound offensive. Why are we calling prostitution sex work?
Exactly.
Just coming to glorify prostitution.
Prostitution is a prostitute. It's sex work, but it's prostitution.
That is what annoys me when we say homosexualism is a human right issue. Human rights issue is when we have no toilet in schools.
Prostitution is
and
prostitution.
People have no food to eat.
Thank you so much.
People have no school fees.
So now prostitution, is it a profession?
Let's go to the messages. We'll have a conversation on this pretty soon. Must stop. All righty. Tama, what's up? What are the messages for us?
Many things.
Go ahead.
They are not stopping.
Go ahead.
The messages are not stopping.
Go ahead.
But these are your views and not the views of GBC. 05555610334. First one hitting at Ghana Water from Somanya district, wanting to ask why the people in and around Enum and Boso are not getting water, and they are asking Ghana Water. They have not had water for 2 months. So, CAF, somebody is wanting you to ask Ghana Water for them in Somanya. Aaron goes into a long one. Ghana will only develop if only when politicians think about how to develop and design a better policy for a better tomorrow. Ghana will only reach an optimum population if only current political politicians live within an estimated budget and bring out strategic economic policies that will open up creation of job opportunities in the system. Aaron Babakoko Komisa sent us that from Latte Biokoshi. Paulus from Kaswa American Town Kenke House. It's a long name. May God change the NDC party in opposition for another 8 years. They need deliverance, not power. Never again NDC. They just talk without a single solution. Musa Abattoir, if President Akufo-Addo fails to cancel the appointment of known NPP on EC, will hit the streets to draw the attention of the world that he's on a mission to steal 2020 elections, and he should be held responsible if anything untoward happens before, during, and after the elections. Good morning, Kafwidi. The police service is not the only security agency apart from the military, prison service of Ghana, Ghana National Fire Service, city guards, immigration service of Ghana, etc. All also deserve accommodation. Sent us that message. A long one there from Kobina, but I'll skip that to go to Alhaji at Pig Farm. Good morning. In my humble opinion, Ghanaians are not angry enough. Hence, this government is taking with the citizens for granted. The question we should be asking this government is, where is all the monies we borrowed for development? Over 500 billion Ghana cedis. There's never been a capital infrastructure project started by this government to completion. What we are seeing all over is abandoned projects. Take La Polyclinic, for example. This government is only good in sloganeering. Messages on our screen, the thoughts of those who are sending them, not the thoughts of GBC. Hello, good morning. Students sleeping in the toilet cubicle is very common. I completed SHS in 2020 in German South. We even have to pay the house prefect so they can reserve the bathhouse in the toilet for us. It's very common at that time, but I don't know for now. Sewa sent us that from Drobo. Okay, Sewa, hit us with some pictures, back it with some facts, okay? So, good morning. Thank you for not bringing in noise making and insulting politicians to your show. Keep it up and people can learn from your show. Kav, I'm an old student. That story as was presented is not true. Those cubicles have been used by students for over 30 years. It's just a part of our opportunistic journalism to serve parochial interests. So Ghana's still in the news. Ghanasco still in the news for that situation there. Kav, please be bold and say the journalist's name by his name on air. Tell us where he's coming from and what he's doing and why he's doing NDC politics. Okay. You think he's doing NDC politics?
But we have mentioned the journalist's name here. What do you mean be bold? I won't even respond.
Okay, so we move on. We move on. Did you ask for something in Guan? They
yes,
sent you a translation.
We want the numbers in Guan. Chicken. Okreni nu. Yeah, it's chicken. Yes,
Guan from Latte.
We ate chicken this morning.
So all my Latte people,
yes.
Maureen, to Fifi, Genevieve, hi, good morning. Please teach me the Latte, okay? I'll learn. So going on, another long one. I love and like the way Sheikh and Reverend are talking. But look, the politicians are not behaving like that. Let's call a spade and not pretend. We are losing hope as citizens, if not giving up already. On the free SHS, let's not be behaving like the ostrich. Even in the UK, not everyone goes to school. For the fact that they speak English doesn't mean they all attend school. We are all not endowed with academic minds. Please, free SHS is doing this country some bad seeds, because if we say it is free, so from JHS, the person must go to school to enjoy the free SHS Kafui. By the time the person finishes SHS, he or she has passed the age of learning a trade, and they can't further because it's either they don't make the grades to continue, or they don't have the money, and they are past the age of humbling themselves to learn a trade. Please, not every free thing is good.
I think we can end there, but it is against the law
to not
take your children to school.
Yep,
and I am a witness to that.
Yes. It's against the law to take your children out of school for a day.
Listen,
without express permission.
We got to the UK
not even going to school.
In 84, going to second term, we were at home for 2 weeks because we hadn't gotten a new school. One day, we got a knock on the door. The police were there. The social welfare were there. They said, we are reliably informed that there are 4 young boys here who are not going to school. And then my father told them that, listen, they just came in from Ghana. They are getting to go to school. Yeah, somebody reported us, you know.
A well-educated workforce is more productive.
Yeah.
And that is why we need this.
One of the greatest things Nkrumah did for Ghana was giving free education to our brothers from the north.
Yes.
Look at, then let's lose
at that time.
Today, Northerners are more settled in our society than the Southerners, because of the free education. So, as for education, free education, whether it is NDC, NPP, CPP, whatever,
we support it.
Which Nkrumah had given all of us. Some of my great-grand uncles and aunties in Dodowa who were not educated, they wouldn't have given all our land to it. Today, foreigners, strangers are living on the Gadangbe land. If you look at, and I say this thing emotionally, if you look at the land space in Accra, Greater Accra region, is non-Gadangbe people who occupy it, because we lack education. The Gan people and the Dangbe people, they give them bicycle and they give them dead trucks and they take big chunks of land. And today our lands are being controlled by non-Accra Gan citizens. If you go to the north, it's not the same. If you go to Kumasi, it's not the same. If you go to Western region and Central, it's not the same. Only we, the people of Gan, Dangbe descent, and that fight we are fighting today about who chieftains is cheap things, because people lack of knowledge makes people fight for things that don't belong to them.
We'll have a conversation.
Education is very, very important. I say this thing. I come from the Asren home. My grandmother is from Asren. That is where the Gamanche comes from. My grandfather comes from Osu. That is where the Osumanche come from. And my grandfather from the Dodowa clan is the Nene Soje, who led the war for Ghana, who captured the Dodowa forest. But he was the only West person who was able to conquer the Ashantis. Even though this one, the last time I said, it's okay. It's okay. You know, you want to hear this joke. So I was talking in Mashia, and I was talking about how the best culture in Ghana tradition is the Ashanti tradition. And the two was very happy. I said, but I hear it's only the Dodowa people who was able to conquer the Ashantis and the Dodowa forest.
On that note, thank you all. Thank you so much. Birthday greetings to Elizabeth Adjoa, assignments. Joyous happy birthday from your husband, Elder Ernest Nana Osei of the Church of Pentecost headquarters. Good morning. Thank you, Sheikh.
Let me take advantage. I will not have a chance to speak about this. We are going to celebrate Eid, yes. And wishing them all in advance. I want our young people to celebrate with responsibility.
Thank you very much.
And I wish you a happy Eid. Please don't forget our meat, our food, and everything. We'll go back.
It is coming
again. Oblada, life goes on. Blah, la 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 goes on. Desmond has a barrel in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. Desmond said to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says it's hard to take him by the hand. Obladi, oblada, life goes on. Blah, la 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 goes on.
It's coming for you.